At the family party, they said my award was fake and my brother laughed. She lied. I brought proof, a recorded call, and an uninvited guest. When they raised their glasses to toast, I played the video and the entire room turned to stone. They wanted me to stay quiet, to accept their version of who I was supposed to be. But that night at Cedar Hall, with 200 witnesses and a USB drive full of evidence, I chose to burn down every lie they'd built around my name. My name is Noelle Carter, and I've spent 34 years learning that success doesn't guarantee respect, especially from the people who should celebrate it most. The Crystal Award sat on my kitchen counter, catching the late afternoon sun through the window of our modest townhouse in Millbrook Heights. Community Finance Innovator of the Year. The inscription read, awarded by the Midwest Impact Council for my microloan program at Everpine Community Bank. 3 months of work had finally paid off 47 small businesses saved from closure, over 200 jobs preserved, real families with real futures, all because someone believed traditional banking had failed them. Maya, my 9-year-old daughter, traced her fingers along the etched letters. Mom, this is so cool. Can I bring it for show and tell? Maybe after the family party, I said, though my stomach tightened at the thought. The invitation had arrived 2 days earlier, handwritten in my mother Evelyn's perfect cursive, family gathering to celebrate Noelle's recent recognition. It should have felt like validation after years of being overlooked. Instead, it felt like walking into an ambush. My phone buzzed. A text from my older brother Brandon. Hey sis, congrats again. Just a heads up, don't bring anything too flashy to Mom's. You know how the relatives get? I knew exactly how they got. The same way they'd gotten when I graduated summa cum laude while Brandon barely finished his marketing degree. The same way they'd gotten when I became a single mother and still managed to climb the corporate ladder while Brandon's revolutionary startup ideas consumed Dad's retirement savings. The kitchen smelled like the banana bread I'd baked for tomorrow's gathering Mom's recipe, though she'd never acknowledge I'd perfected it. Through the window, I watched our elderly neighbor, Mr. Rodriguez, tend his garden. He'd been one of my first microloan recipients, transforming his hobby into a thriving landscaping business that now employed his 2 nephews. Mom, Maya appeared with construction paper and markers. I made you something for tomorrow. She handed me a card covered in glitter and crooked hearts. Mom, I'm proud of you. You help people, and that's what heroes do. My throat tightened. This was the recognition that mattered. Not the Crystal Award, not the newspaper article, not even the LinkedIn congratulations from colleagues. Just my daughter seeing me as someone who made a difference. But I knew what tomorrow would bring. Mom would find a way to diminish it, call it a participation trophy, or suggest the committee had quotas to fill. Dad, Harold, would sit silent in his recliner, neither defending nor condemning, lost in whatever game played on the television, and Brandon would somehow make it about him, probably pitching his latest venture to any relative who'd listen. The wind chimes on our porch played their hollow melody, a gift from Mom 3 Christmases ago, with a passive-aggressive note about bringing harmony to your chaotic life. Even her gifts came with judgments. I wrapped the Crystal Award carefully in a dish towel and placed it in my leather tote bag. Not to show off, but as armor. Proof, if I needed it, that I wasn't the failure they'd painted me to be when David left, when I chose career over remarriage, when I refused to move back home, for Maya's sake. My laptop displayed the email from the Midwest Impact Council's president, confirming my attendance at next month's regional conference as a keynote speaker. 3 other banks had already reached out about implementing similar programs. This was bigger than family drama. This was about changing an entire industry's approach to community banking. But first, I had to survive tomorrow. As I tucked Maya into bed that night, she whispered, "Are you nervous about the party?" "Why would I be nervous?" "Because Grandma makes that face sometimes, the one that looks like a smile but isn't." Even a 9-year-old could see it. I kissed her forehead. "Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that you and I are a team." "Okay." "The best team," she agreed, already drifting toward sleep. I stood in my bedroom later, looking at my reflection in the mirror. 34 years old, successful beyond my own expectations, raising an amazing kid alone, and still seeking approval from people who'd already decided my worth. The invitation sat on my dresser, innocent-looking enough, but I knew better. There was something about Brandon's warning, about the timing of this party, that set off every alarm in my head. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow. I wouldn't apologize for my success or make myself smaller to fit their comfort. Tomorrow. If they wanted to deny my achievement, they'd have to look me in the eye while they did it. The crystal award gleamed in its wrapping, waiting. The Whitaker House in Willow Ridge, Ohio, stood like a monument to Midwest respectability, white colonial siding, manicured lawn, and a wraparound porch that had hosted 40 years of family gatherings. Inside, the dining room table stretched long enough to seat 16, laden with Evelyn's signature spread honey-glazed ham, roasted chicken, potato casserole, and green beans almondine. The smell should have been comforting. Instead, it made my stomach turn. "There she is," Aunt Marla called out, wine glass already half empty at 3:15 p.m. Our little banking superstar. The room buzzed with cousins, uncles, and family friends all here to celebrate me. Maya gripped my hand tighter as we entered. Brandon held court near the fireplace, gesturing wildly about some new marketing venture while Dad nodded absently from his leather chair. "Noelle, darling." Mom glided over, air-kissing my cheek. "So glad you could make it. Though I do wish you'd worn something more festive." She eyed my navy dress with practiced disapproval. "Hi, Mom." "And Maya, sweetheart, there are juice boxes in the kitchen. The adults need to talk." Maya looked at me. I nodded, watching her disappear toward the kitchen where the younger cousins gathered. "So," Uncle Pete boomed, already red-faced from beer. "Heard you got some kind of certificate at work." "Actually," I started, but Aunt Marla interrupted. "I saw an article the Millbrook Gazette. Wasn't it something about helping poor people get loans?" "It's a comprehensive microloan program," I explained. "We've helped 47 small businesses avoid foreclosure." "The Millbrook Gazette." Mom laughed. "That crystalline sound that could cut glass." "Oh, Noelle, that's hardly the Wall Street Journal. And these local organizations," she waved dismissively, "they give awards to everyone these days. Participation trophies for adults." My face burned. The Midwest Impact Council is a regional authority on community banking innovation. They received over 200 nominations. "Of course, dear." Mom patted my arm. "We're all very proud of your recognition." Though I should mention, Cousin Beth's daughter just made partner at her firm. Real partner, equity and everything. Brandon sauntered over, beer in hand. "Hey, sis, still carrying that thing around." He gestured at my bag. Before I could respond, Aunt Marla persisted. "But really, Noelle, it must be quite an honor. Will there be a ceremony?" "There already was one," I said. "Last week, I tried to invite—" "Oh," Brandon's laugh cut through the room. "About that award." He pulled out his phone, connecting it to Dad's smart TV with practiced ease. I did some research. My blood chilled as a website filled the screen some obscure blog post titled "The Truth About Pay-to-Play Awards in Banking." "See?" Brandon addressed the room like he was giving a TED Talk. "These organizations basically sell recognition. You pay a fee, they give you a trophy. It's a whole industry." "I didn't pay anything," I said, voice sharp. "I was nominated by our CEO." Brandon smirked. "Sure. But your bank probably paid the administrative fees." "Right. Same thing." She lied about earning it fair and square. The room shifted. Cousins exchanged glances. Uncle Pete coughed into his beer. "That's not how it works," I said, reaching into my bag. "I have the official letter, the selection criteria. Anyone can print a letter," Mom said coolly. "Brandon, you're in marketing. Don't you create these kinds of materials?" "All the time." He grinned. Graphic design, official seals, the works. It's incredibly easy to fake credibility these days. I pulled out the wrapped award, hands trembling. This is real. The program I created saved jobs, helped families. Brandon lunged forward playfully. He'd claim later, grabbing for my bag. Come on, let's see this famous award. The bag twisted. The crystal fell, shattering against Mom's Italian tile floor with a sound like breaking bones. Fragments scattered across the room, one piece sliding to stop at Dad's feet. Oh no. Mom's voice dripped false concern. Your little trophy, Brandon. You should be more careful. Maya ran in at the crash, saw the broken crystal, and tears immediately welled. That's my mom's award. She worked so hard. Maya, sweetie. Evelyn's voice turned ice cold. Don't be dramatic. It's just glass. It's not just glass, Maya sobbed. It's Mom's. She helps people and you broke it. That's enough, Mom snapped. This is exactly why children should stay in the kitchen. I knelt, gathering crystal shards with bare hands, not caring when one sliced my palm. The room watched in silence, some uncomfortable, others seemingly entertained by the spectacle. My phone buzzed. A delivery notification from the doorbell camera, package from Midwest Impact Council. I'd requested additional certification after Brandon's cryptic text, knowing something like this might happen. The official duplicate award and authenticated documentation with QR verification codes all waiting on Mom's porch, standing slowly, blood dripping from my hand onto Mom's perfect floor. I looked at each face in that room. My family. The people who should have been proudest, who should have defended me, who should have celebrated my achievements instead of tearing them down for sport. You know what, I said, voice steady despite everything. Fine. Brandon laughed. Fine. That's it. No more lies about your big important award. I walked to the front door, retrieved the package, and came back holding the delivery receipt. This just arrived. Duplicate award and authenticated documentation. With digital verification anyone can check. Noelle, Mom sighed. This is getting embarrassing. No, I interrupted. Something I'd never done before. What's embarrassing is a mother who can't celebrate her daughter's success. What's embarrassing is a brother so insecure he has to destroy what others earn. What's embarrassing is this entire charade. Dad finally looked up from his chair. Our eyes met for a moment, and I saw something flicker there, regret recognition. But he said nothing, as always. We'll discuss this later, Mom declared, her tone dismissing me like I was still 12 years old. But I was done being dismissed, done being diminished, done pretending this was love. Yes, I said, gathering Maya's hand. We will. That night, as Maya slept and my bandaged hand throbbed, memories flooded back like water through a broken dam. The pattern had always been there, obvious to everyone except the girl desperate for her mother's approval. I was 7 when Brandon, then 10, broke my science fair project, a solar system model I'd spent weeks perfecting. It was an accident, he'd claimed, though I'd seen him stomp on Jupiter deliberately. Mom's response, Noelle, you shouldn't have left it where he could trip over it. And really, sweetheart, boys are naturally more suited for science anyway. By high school, the dynamics were cemented. Brandon's C+ report card warranted ice cream celebrations because he tried so hard. My straight A's earned lectures about not being show-offy and reminders that grades aren't everything. When I got into Northwestern on a partial scholarship, Mom's first reaction was concern about how Brandon would feel, since he'd been rejected from all his top choices. Remember, she'd said, helping Brandon move into his dorm at the state school Dad's connections had secured. Family means supporting each other. Noelle's success shouldn't make you feel bad, Brandon. She just tests well. Tests well, not works hard or earned it. Just a quirk of standardized testing. The pattern continued through college. When Brandon needed money for his first revolutionary business idea, a social media platform for pet owners that never launched, Dad emptied his workshop fund without question. When I needed $300 for textbooks, I got a lecture about financial responsibility and took extra shifts at the campus library. Brandon's failures were learning experiences. Mine were character flaws. "You're too rigid," Mom would say when my marriage to David ended. Never mind that David had been cheating for 6 months with his CrossFit instructor. Men need flexibility, understanding. You were always so focused on that career. Meanwhile, Brandon's 3 broken engagements were because he was selective and knew his worth. The most painful memory surfaced from 5 years ago. I'd just been promoted to senior strategy analyst, the youngest in Everpine's history. I'd called Mom, breathless with excitement. "That's nice, dear," she'd said, distracted. "Listen, Brandon's having a rough time. His latest venture didn't get funding. Could you maybe not mention your promotion at Sunday dinner? You know how sensitive he is." Sensitive? Brandon, who'd once posted my teenage diary entries on Facebook as a joke. Brandon, who'd told David I was probably too career-focused for kids right before we'd started trying. Brandon, who'd convinced our relatives I'd gotten my job through diversity hiring rather than merit. But the cruelest cut came after Maya was born. Single motherhood wasn't part of the Whitaker family image. Mom suggested I take some time away from family gatherings until I sorted things out. Brandon, meanwhile, was encouraged to bring his rotating cast of girlfriends to every holiday. "It's different for men," Mom had explained, as if that made it less painful. I pulled out my laptop, needing to focus on something constructive. There, in my email, was another message from the Midwest Impact Council president, Dr. Patricia Hoffman, confirming my keynote at the regional conference. Below that, 3 inquiries from other banks about implementing similar programs. This was real. My work was real. The families I'd helped were real. But then I opened Facebook, and my stomach dropped. Brandon had tagged me in a post, so proud of my sis for participating in the Midwest Impact Council program. These recognition programs are great for building confidence. Family support. Everyone gets atrophy. 67 likes. Dozens of comments from relatives and family friends, all variations of "how sweet" and Brandon's "so supportive," and participation awards are important too. He'd weaponized kindness, making himself look magnanimous while undermining everything I'd achieved. Classic Brandon, classic Mom, who'd already liked and shared the post. I scrolled through Brandon's profile, BrightPath Media, his latest venture, innovative marketing solutions for tomorrow's brands. The website was all stock photos and buzzwords, but dig deeper, and you'd find something interesting: testimonials from nonprofits about services never fully delivered, a Better Business Bureau complaint, mysteriously resolved, and his biggest client, Harbor Hands Foundation, a local charity run by Mom's church friend. Something clicked. Brandon had mentioned administrative fees at the party, projected his own corruption onto my achievement. Because that's what he did, whatever Brandon was guilty of. He accused others of first. I opened a new document and started typing. Not a rant or an emotional outburst, but a timeline. Every diminishment, every double standard, every time success was reframed as selfishness, achievement as showing off, ambition as unfeminine greed. At 2:45 my phone rang. Dad. Noel. His voice was quiet, uncertain. "I know it's late." "It's fine. Dad." A long pause. Then, "Your mother means well. She worries about Brandon." "He's not as strong as you." "Strong." I laughed bitterly. "I'm not strong. Dad, I'm tired. I'm tired of being punished for succeeding. I'm tired of making myself smaller so Brandon feels bigger. I'm tired of you watching it happen and saying nothing." He stopped. What could he say? That he'd chosen peace over justice, that Mom's love was conditional, and he'd accepted those conditions. The award was real, wasn't it? Of course it was real. I knew it. I suspected. You've never lied about anything, not even as a kid. Brandon, though. He trailed off. Why didn't you say anything? Your mother, my mother, your wife, Brandon's mom. But what about Noel's dad? Where was he today? The silence stretched between us, 34 years of unspoken truths condensing into this one moment. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "I know," I replied. And I did know. But sorry didn't rebuild shattered crystal. Sorry didn't undo public humiliation. Sorry didn't give me back the childhood where achievements were celebrated instead of hidden. After we hung up, I sat in the dark, hand throbbing, heart racing. They'd drawn the battle lines. They'd chosen their sides. They'd broken my award and called me a liar in front of my daughter. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd assumed I would follow the family script, absorb the blow, accept the humiliation, prioritize their comfort over my truth. They were wrong. Monday morning arrived with purpose. I dropped Maya at school, then called in a personal day, the first in 2 years. This wasn't about revenge. It was about documentation. Truth. Assembled with the same precision I applied to financial analysis. First stop, Midwest Impact Council headquarters in Columbus. Dr. Patricia Hoffman herself met me in the lobby, concern etched across her face when she saw my bandaged hand. "Noelle, I got your urgent message." "Is everything all right?" "I need authenticated documentation," I said. "Everything. The nomination forms, selection committee notes, scoring rubrics, and a statement of verification that can withstand any challenge." She studied me carefully. "This is about more than professional verification, isn't it? My family is claiming the award is fraudulent, paid for, that I'm a liar." Her expression hardened. "Follow me." Within an hour, I had everything original nomination from Everpine's CEO, signed evaluations from 5 independent judges, comparative scoring sheets showing I'd ranked first among 212 nominees. The council's legal department even provided a notarized letter confirming no fees were paid by anyone, not me, not my bank, not anyone. "We also recorded the selection committee's final discussion," Patricia added, handing me a USB drive. "It's yours if you need it. Unanimous decision. One judge called your program transformative for the entire industry." Next, I drove to Everpine. My colleague Marcus from legal was waiting in his office with coffee and raised eyebrows. "Rough weekend?" he asked, noting my bandage. "I need a favor. Can you verify some documents for me?" Marcus reviewed everything with lawyer-like thoroughness. "Noelle, this is ironclad. But why do you need—" "My brother's been spreading rumors. It could affect my professional reputation." "Your brother Brandon. The marketing guy." Marcus pulled up his laptop. "Funny you mention him. Harbor Hands Foundation reached out to us last month about a potential partnership. When we did due diligence on their current vendors." He turned the screen toward me. Bright Path Media. 3 contracts totaling $90,000 for comprehensive marketing strategy and implementation. The deliverables vague. The results non-existent. "Is this public information?" I asked. "The contracts are part of their nonprofit filings. Public record. But Noelle, there's more. They've been flagged by the state attorney's office for potential misuse of funds. Nothing criminal yet, but—" He shrugged. "I called Tara McLean, my law school friend who'd become a successful attorney specializing in defamation cases. We met for lunch at a quiet restaurant downtown. 'Show me everything,' she said. I laid out Brandon's Facebook post, screenshots of comments from relatives, the video he'd shown at the party, and my documented evidence." Tara whistled low. "He accused you of fraud in front of witnesses. Said I lied, that the award was pay to play. That's defamation per se, accusation of professional dishonesty. Clear damage to reputation. You could sue." "I don't want to sue. I want something better." She leaned forward. "I'm listening." "Brandon's giving a presentation at the Willow Ridge Community Night next week. Mom's on the organizing committee. The whole family will be there. I want to present too. And say what? The truth. With evidence. Publicly." Tara smiled slowly. "You'll need to be careful. Stick to facts. No emotional accusations. Document everything. And Noelle, record it. Ohio's a one-party consent state." I spent the rest of the week building my case with methodical care. Every document scanned and backed up. Every piece of evidence cross-referenced. I even found the security footage from the bank showing me working until 11 p.m. on the microloan program proposals dated, time-stamped, undeniable. But the real goldmine came from an unexpected source. Thursday evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Noel Carter?" A young man's voice. Nervous. "Yes. I'm Jake Morrison. I used to work with your brother at Brightpath. I heard what he's saying about you, and it's not right. We met at a coffee shop." Jake, 23 and fresh out of college, had interned with Brandon for 6 months. "He bragged about it," Jake said, sliding a phone across the table. "The whole reputation management thing, called it controlling the narrative." On the screen, a group text where Brandon detailed his strategy for discrediting competitors. "Plant doubt first." One message read, "Once people think someone's lying, everything they say sounds fake." "Why are you showing me this?" Jake shifted uncomfortably. "He did it to me. When I left to work for another agency, he spread rumors I'd stolen client data. Took me months to rebuild my reputation. I recorded some of our conversations after that, for protection." "Recorded?" He pulled out another phone, like this one from last week, right before your family party. Brandon's voice filled the coffee shop. "My sister's getting too big for her britches. Got some award, thinks she's special. Need to take her down a peg tonight. Watch and learn. Boys, this is how you control family dynamics. Keep the threats small, the successful ones grateful for scraps." My hands shook. "Can I have a copy? Already emailed it to you. There's more, including one where he admits to overbilling Harbor Hands. Says the director is too trusting to check invoices carefully." I stared at Jake. "Why help me? Because bullies like Brandon only stop when someone stops them. And because—" He paused. "My sister's applying for your microloan program. Single mom, trying to start a bakery. You gave her hope when every other bank turned her away. You're the real deal. Ms. Carter, your brother's the fraud." That night, I registered for a presentation slot at Willow Ridge Community Night. Topic: Innovative Financial Models for Community Growth. I also sent a formal invitation to Dr. Hoffman, another to Harbor Hands board president, and one to Jenna Reyes, the local journalist who'd written about predatory business practices in nonprofits. Then I opened the package from the Midwest Impact Council, my replacement award, even more beautiful than the original, with a QR code etched into the base that linked directly to my verification documents. Maya found me arranging my presentation materials. "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm better than okay, sweetheart." "Are we going to see Grandma and Uncle Brandon again?" I pulled her close. "We're going to see them one more time, at a big community event where Mommy's going to give a presentation. About your award. About the truth." She nodded solemnly. "Good. They were mean to you, and they broke your trophy." "Yes," I said, looking at the new Crystal Award. "But some things can't be broken." The escalation began at 6:43 a.m. on Tuesday. My phone buzzed with a Google alert. Brandon had published a Medium article, "The Danger of Participation Trophy Culture in Banking." A family perspective. He didn't name me directly. Too smart for that. But anyone who knew us would recognize the family member who inflated minor workplace recognition into major achievement and damaged family harmony with delusions of grandeur. 3 hours later, Everpine's HR director, Sandra Collins, called me into her office. "Noel, we need to discuss some concerns that have been raised." My stomach dropped. "Concerns." She turned her monitor toward me. An anonymous email sent to the entire board of directors, linking to Brandon's article and suggesting they investigate whether I'd misrepresented credentials and exaggerated program outcomes. "This is clearly targeted harassment," Sandra said. "But the board wants documentation. Everything. Program metrics, award verification, the works." "I have it all," I said, voice steady despite my racing heart. "Every single piece." "Good. Because Noel?" She leaned forward. "The CEO is furious. Not at you, at whoever's trying to undermine one of our best employees. Richard wants to issue a statement supporting you. That might make things worse. Your call. But we're behind you. That program you created. It's being nominated for a federal innovation grant. We're not letting anyone tarnish that. I spent the day assembling a comprehensive package for the board. Metrics showing loan default rates down 22%. Testimonials from 47 business owners. Comparative analysis proving our program outperformed similar initiatives at banks 3 times our size. Marcus from legal stopped by. The chief marketing officer wants to see you. David Kim, our CMO, didn't mince words. Someone's running a smear campaign against you. We've traced the anonymous email came from a coffee shop IP address, but the language patterns match other communications from Bright Path Media. My brother's company. Your brother's a fool, David said bluntly. We're documenting everything for potential legal action. But Noelle, you need to know Harbor Hands Foundation called. They're asking questions about you. What kind of questions? Whether you're trustworthy, whether the award is legitimate. Someone's been feeding them lies. That evening, Mom called. Her voice was ice. Noelle, what have you done? What have I done? Margaret from Harbor Hands called me. Said there are questions about your credibility. This reflects on our entire family. Brandon's the one spreading lies. Brandon's trying to protect the family reputation. You're the one who insisted on making a spectacle at the party. Now, look what's happened. He broke my award. He called me a liar. It was a misunderstanding. You're too sensitive. You always have been. Just apologize. Retract whatever you're planning, and we can move forward. Apologize for what? For earning recognition, for succeeding, for causing drama, for putting your ego above family unity. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Family unity? Is that what we're calling it? Don't take that tone with me. You have a choice. Noelle, apologize and come back to the family, or continue this destructive path alone. I'm not alone. I have Maya. That poor child, growing up without a father, and now you're alienating her from her extended family too. What kind of mother? I hung up. First time in my life I'd ever hung up on Evelyn Whitaker. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Texts from relatives. Brandon, real mature, sis. Cousin Beth, your mom's crying. Aunt Marla, this is also unnecessary, but also supportive messages. Mr. Rodriguez, saw the article, obvious hit piece, you saved my business. A colleague, whoever's after you is desperate, must mean you're winning. Wednesday brought a new development. Jake Morrison called, panicked. Brandon knows I talked to you. He's threatening to sue me for sharing those recordings. He can't. You recorded them legally. I know, but he's saying I signed an NDA as an intern. Tara McLean conferenced in. Send me the NDA, Jake, if it exists. It did exist, but Tara laughed when she read it. This is toilet paper, unenforceable, overbroad, and it doesn't cover whistleblowing about potential fraud. Tell Brandon to pound sand. There's more, Jake said. He's planning something for the community night. Overheard him on a call. Something about exposing her publicly and finishing what we started. Thursday afternoon. Maya came home from school quiet. What's wrong? Baby. Emma's mom said I can't come to Emma's birthday party anymore. Why? She said you're causing problems, that you're mean to your family. My heart shattered. They were targeting my child now. Sweetheart, sometimes adults disagree. I know you're not mean, Mom. You're the nicest person. Emma's mom is wrong. That night, I sat with my laptop, rage crystallizing into determination. I pulled up the Willow Ridge Community Night schedule. Brandon was slated to present about ethical marketing in the nonprofit sector on behalf of Harbor Hands. The irony was too rich. I emailed Dr. Hoffman. Please attend. You'll want to see this. I emailed the Harbor Hands Board president. Concerns about your marketing vendor will be addressed. I emailed Jenna Reyes. Story of financial impropriety and family corruption. Interested. Then I created my presentation. Not an attack that would make me look petty. Instead, a showcase of the microloan program's success, complete with verification codes, testimonials, and metrics. Let the truth speak for itself. But I kept Jake's recordings as backup, the nuclear option, if needed. Friday morning, Evelyn made one last attempt. She showed up at my office. "We can fix this," she said, sitting uninvited across from my desk. "Come to dinner Sunday. Apologize to Brandon. We'll forget this whole thing happened." "Will Brandon apologize for calling me a liar, for breaking my award, for trying to destroy my professional reputation?" She sighed as if I were a difficult child. "Brandon's under stress. His business is struggling. You should be supportive, not vindictive." "His business is struggling because he's defrauding nonprofits." Her face went pale, then red. "How dare you? It's documented, Mom, all of it." She stood, gathering her purse with shaking hands. "You've made your choice. Don't come crying to me when you're all alone." "I won't," I said quietly. "I won't." She left without another word. The last time Evelyn Whitaker would ever speak to me directly before community night. Maya and I spent Friday evening practicing my presentation. She helped me click through slides, her face serious with concentration. "Mom," she asked, "are you scared?" "A little." "But you're going to do it anyway." "Yes." "Because it's the right thing. Because it's the truth." She nodded. "Then I'm proud of you, even if nobody else is." But somebody else was. That night, Dad texted, "I'll be there Saturday." Front row. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't enough. But it was something. Saturday morning arrived crisp and clear. The Willow Ridge Community Night would begin at 6 p.m. at Cedar Hall, the town's historic community center. I had 9 hours to ensure everything was bulletproof. Tara McLean arrived at my house at 10, legal pad in hand. "Walk me through your presentation one more time." I pulled up the slides on my laptop. Opening with program overview, transition to measurable outcomes, then award verification with live QR code scanning, closing with testimonials. Perfect. Factual, professional, documented. Now, about Brandon's recordings. Only if he attacks first. Define attack. If he directly accuses me of fraud or lying during his presentation. Tara nodded. The recording Jake provided is admissible. One-party consent, no expectation of privacy. Brandon was in a public cafe, speaking loudly. But Noelle, once you play it, there's no going back. I know. She pulled out a folder. I've drafted a cease and desist letter. If Brandon continues his defamation after tonight, we file this Monday morning. Also, she smiled. I'll be there tonight, as your attorney, but listed as a general attendee. Marcus from Everpine's legal team texted, "Board reviewed everything. Unanimous support. CEO will attend tonight his own decision." Dr. Patricia Hoffman confirmed via email, "I'll be there with 2 board members. We're considering Brandon's behavior as potential harassment of an award recipient." Jenna Reyes, the journalist, called at noon. "I've been investigating Harbor Hand's finances. Your brother's contracts are interesting. 3 articles pending, depending on tonight's outcome. By 2 p.m., I'd registered my presentation materials with Cedar Hall's AV team. The venue coordinator, Mrs. Patterson, confirmed my slot 7:45 p.m., right after Brandon's 7:15 presentation. Quite a crowd expected tonight, she mentioned. Haven't seen this much interest in community night in years. Maya helped me choose my outfit, my best navy suit, the one I'd worn to receive the award. Professional, serious, unassailable. "Mom, can I make a sign?" "What kind of sign?" She showed me her sketch, "Truth Wins," in purple glitter. Maybe something subtler. Baby, she thought, then drew again. "My mom helps people. Simple. Perfect." At 4 p.m., an unexpected call. Harbor Hand's board president, William Sterling. "Ms. Carter, I'm concerned about tonight's presentation." "Which presentation?" "Both. Frankly, Brandon Whitaker assured us you're planning to attack our organization." "Mr. Sterling, I have no issue with Harbor Hands. My concern is with vendors who overcharge and underdeliver." "If that doesn't describe Bright Path Media, You have nothing to worry about. A pause. We've initiated an internal audit of our marketing expenses. Good. Ms. Carter. Between us, if you have documentation about vendor malfeasance, we need to see it. Attend tonight. Everything will be clear. The last piece fell into place at 5 p.m. Jake Morrison forwarded a new email chain Brandon instructing his team to flood social media with doubt about my award during tonight's event. Liv tweet that she's cracking under pressure, he'd written. Make it go viral. I forwarded everything to Tara and added it to my backup files. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I prayed. Not for victory, but for courage, for clarity, for the strength to stand in truth, regardless of consequences. Maya and I arrived at Cedar Hall at 5:45. The parking lot was already filling up. I recognized cars, Evelyn's white Lexus, Brandon's leased BMW, various relatives' vehicles. Inside, the main auditorium could hold 300 people. Round tables for 8 filled the front section, with rows of chairs behind. A projection screen dominated the stage. Evelyn stood near the registration table, holding court in her St. John suit, greeting attendees like a queen receiving subjects. She saw me and her smile tightened, but she maintained her composure. Brandon worked the room, all confidence and casual charm. His presentation materials already staged. I signed in, received my presenter badge, and found our assigned seats. Maya clutched her sign and my hand with equal determination. Remember, I whispered, no matter what happens, we know the truth. Richard Donovan, Everpine's CEO, entered with his wife. He nodded to me, a clear signal of support. Behind him, Dr. Hoffman and 2 Midwest Impact Council board members took seats near the front. Tara positioned herself strategically in the middle section, legal pad discreetly ready. Jenna Reyes sat to the side, recorder visible on her table. At 6:15, William Sterling and 3 Harbor Hands board members arrived, their faces serious. They took a table directly in front of the stage. The room filled steadily. Church members, local business owners, civic leaders. Many knew our family. Most had heard rumors about the situation. Mrs. Patterson took the microphone at 6:30. Welcome to Willow Ridge Community Night. Tonight's theme is Building Stronger Communities Through Innovation and Integrity. The irony wasn't lost on me. Brandon kept checking his phone, smirking at whatever his team was posting online. Evelyn maintained her practiced smile, but her knuckles were white around her program. At 6:45, Dad walked in. He paused at the door, surveying the room. Our eyes met. He didn't take the seat saved for him at Mom's table. Instead, Harold Whitaker, the man who'd never taken a stand in his life, walked to my table and sat beside Maya. "Ha, Grandpa!" Maya hugged him. Mom's mask slipped for just a second, showing pure shock. "I'm here to see your mom's presentation," Dad told Maya, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. I should have been there for the first award ceremony. It wasn't enough. 34 years of silence couldn't be erased with one gesture. But it was something. 7 p.m. arrived. The program began with community announcements, local business updates, youth group achievements, normal, pleasant, small-town proceedings. But underneath, tension crackled like electricity before a storm. At 7:14, Mrs. Patterson announced, "Our next presenter, Brandon Whitaker from Bright Path Media, speaking on ethical marketing in the nonprofit sector." Brandon took the stage with practiced ease, his smile megawatt bright. Behind him, his first slide proclaimed integrity in community partnerships. I pulled out my phone, finger hovering over the recording Jake had sent. Ready, if needed. Brandon began his presentation, all smooth professionalism, but I saw him glance at me, that same smirk from childhood when he knew he was about to break something I loved. The storm was about to break. Brandon's presentation started smoothly enough, charts about authentic engagement and trust-based partnerships. The Harbor Hands Board nodded approvingly as he showcased their rebranded website, new social media presence, doubled online donations. "Integrity," Brandon said, clicking to his next slide, means being honest about real achievements versus inflated claims. His eyes found mine. Here it came. In today's world, we see too many examples of people buying recognition, padding resumes, claiming credit for team efforts as individual accomplishments. He paused dramatically. Even in our own families, we must stand against false narratives. Gasps rippled through the audience. Mom smiled triumphantly. Several relatives leaned forward. That's why at Bright Path Media, we verify every claim, authenticate every achievement. We don't deal in participation trophies or pay-to-play awards. William Sterling shifted uncomfortably. He'd seen the invoices. Brandon's final slide appeared. Questions. Mrs. Patterson stood. Thank you, Brandon. Our next presenter. Actually, Brandon interrupted, still holding the microphone. I think my sister should go next. She has something to share about recognition. The room held its breath. I stood, Maya's hand squeezing mine, walked to the stage with measured steps, took the microphone from Brandon, who whispered, Good luck explaining your fake award. Thank you, Brandon, I said clearly. For the perfect introduction, my first slide illuminated the screen. The Everpine Community Microloan Program, verified results and authenticated recognition. I'm Noelle Carter, Senior Strategy Director at Everpine Community Bank. Tonight, I'll share how innovative financial models can transform communities with documented proof. Click. Slide 2, before and after statistics. 47 businesses saved, 212 jobs preserved, default rates decreased by 22%. These aren't inflated claims, I said. Every metric is audited by third parties. Mr. Rodriguez, would you stand? The elderly man rose from his seat. Ms. Carter's program saved my landscaping business. Now I employ 3 people. Thank you. Click. Mrs. Thompson. A woman near the back stood. My bakery would have closed without the microloan. Today we're opening a second location. One by one, 7 loan recipients stood. Real people, real businesses, real success. Click. The Midwest Impact Council Award appeared on screen. This recognition came after rigorous evaluation. Dr. Patricia Hoffman, would you please explain the selection process? Dr. Hoffman stood. The Community Finance Innovator Award received 212 nominations. 5 independent judges evaluated each submission using 37 criteria. Ms. Carter's program ranked first unanimously. No fees were paid by anyone. This is documented. Click. A QR code filled the screen. Please, I invited the audience. Scan this code. It links to the council's verification page, including judge scores and authentication. Phones appeared throughout the room. The Harbor Hands board members were already scanning. Murmurs of, it's real, and look at these scores filled the air. Brandon grabbed a microphone from the side table. Anyone can create a website. You're absolutely right. Brandon, I said calmly. That's why I brought this. I placed the Crystal Award on the podium, its QR code gleaming under the lights. But let's talk about real fraud. Click. These are public records from Harbor Hands Foundation. The screen showed invoice after invoice. $90,000 for marketing services. Brandon's face went pale. Interesting billing patterns. Mr. Sterling, does Harbor Hands typically pay for the same service 3 times? William Sterling stood slowly. No, we don't. Click. This is the reported outcome from Bright Path Media's $90,000 campaign. A single-page report, obviously templated, with generic metrics. Contrast with this. Click. Everpine's microloan program results for the same period, on a budget of $12,000. The comparison was devastating. Brandon grabbed the mic again. You're attacking me because you're jealous. No, I said. I'm presenting facts. But since you brought up attacks, I pulled out my phone. This recording was provided by a former Bright Path employee. Legal to record. Legal to share. Brandon's voice filled the auditorium. My sister's getting too big for her britches. Got some award? Thinks she's special. Need to take her down a peg tonight. Watch and learn. Boys, this is how you control family dynamics. Silence. Complete. Absolute silence. Then Jake's voice on the recording. But her award is real. Right. Brandon's laugh. Doesn't matter. Once you plant doubt, everything looks fake. She could have won the Nobel Prize and I'd convince people she bought it. I stopped the recording. There's more, including discussions about overbilling nonprofits. Mr. Sterling, you should have your lawyers review this. Evelyn stood up. This is a family matter. No, Mom, I said into the microphone. This became a public matter when Brandon posted articles online, emailed my employer, and called me a liar in front of family. Click. Screenshot of Brandon's Medium article. Click. The anonymous email to Everpine's board. Click. His Facebook post undermining my achievement. This isn't about family dynamics. I continued. It's about defamation, fraud, harassment. Tara stood up. Ms. McLean, attorney. I'm representing Ms. Carter in potential defamation proceedings. Everything presented tonight is documented evidence. Richard Donovan, my CEO, stood. Everpine Community Bank fully supports Ms. Carter and her award-winning program. We've submitted it for federal recognition. Jenna Reyes was typing furiously. Tomorrow's headline was writing itself. Brandon tried once more. She's lying. Stop. Dad's voice, louder than I'd ever heard it. Harold Whitaker stood at our table. Just stop, Brandon. You've lost. You lied. You've been lying for years, and I let it happen. We all let it happen. But it stops now. Mom's face crumbled. Harold, Evelyn, our son is defrauding charities. Our daughter earned a legitimate honor, and we destroyed it. We destroyed her. In front of her child. Maya held up her sign. My mom helps people. Yes, Dad said, his voice breaking. She does. Brandon dropped the microphone. It hit the stage with a shriek of feedback. He looked around the room at the Harbor Hands board members on their phones with lawyers, at the journalists recording everything, at the community members staring in disgust. This isn't over, he snarled at me. Yes, I said quietly, but the mic caught it. It is. William Sterling approached the stage. Mr. Whitaker, BrightPath Media's contracts with Harbor Hands Foundation are terminated effective immediately. Expect to hear from our legal team. Brandon fled the auditorium. Evelyn followed, her heels clicking like gunshots, but not before she turned to me. Her perfect composure finally shattered. You destroyed this family, she hissed. No, I replied, steady as stone. I chose truth over comfort. There's a difference. The room erupted. People approached with congratulations, questions, business cards. The Harbor Hands Board thanked me for exposing the fraud. Dr. Hoffman hugged me, whispered, "Courage like that deserves another award." But the moment that mattered most was Maya running to the stage, arms wide. You did it, Mom. You told the truth and won. I held her tight. This brave little girl who'd watched her mother stand up to giants. We won, I corrected. Together. The auditorium slowly emptied, but the aftermath continued to ripple. William Sterling and his board members huddled with Tara, exchanging contact information and discussing next steps. Jenna Reyes approached for a brief interview, her questions sharp but fair. Dr. Hoffman insisted on photographing me with the restored award, promising to feature the moment in the council's next newsletter. Through it all, Maya never left my side, her small hand anchored in mine. By 8:45 p.m., only a handful of people remained. Dad stood awkwardly by our table, unsure of his place in this new reality. Noelle, he started, then stopped. I should have done that years ago. Yes, I agreed. You should have. Will you? Can we still? I don't know. Dad, tonight doesn't erase 34 years, but it's a start. He nodded. understanding more than he'd ever shown before. "I'll call you, if that's okay." "We'll see." As he walked toward the exit, he turned back. "Your mother, she won't apologize. She can't. It's not who she is." "I know. That's not who she is. But this," I gestured to Maya, to the award, to the truth finally spoken. "This is who I am." Outside Cedar Hall, the October air was crisp and clean. Maya skipped beside me, still clutching her sign. The parking lot had mostly cleared, but a small group waited by my car. Mr. Rodriguez and 6 other microloan recipients stood together, some holding flowers, others simply smiling. "We wanted to thank you," Mrs. Thompson said, "not just for the loans, but for tonight, for showing us what courage looks like." "You showed me first," I replied. "Every one of you who risked everything to build something real, you taught me that truth matters more than comfort." They embraced me one by one. These people who'd become more family than blood ever was. As we drove home, Maya asked, "Will Uncle Brandon go to jail?" "I don't know, sweetheart. That's for lawyers to decide." "What about Grandma?" "Grandma made her choice. She chose to protect a lie instead of celebrating the truth." "That's sad." "Yes," I agreed. "It is." At home, my phone buzzed with messages. Colleagues congratulating me, journalists requesting interviews, 3 banks asking about implementing similar programs. But the one that mattered most was from Jake Morrison. "Thank you for standing up. You gave me permission to stop being afraid." I tucked Maya into bed, her eyes already heavy with exhaustion. "Mom, I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of you too, baby. You were so brave tonight." "We're a good team." "The best team." As she drifted to sleep, I stood in my living room, looking at the crystal award now prominently displayed on the bookshelf. The crack from where Brandon had broken the original was gone, but I'd never forget the sound of it shattering, just like I'd never forget the sound of truth finally being spoken in that auditorium. My phone rang, Evelyn's number. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was brief, bitter. "I hope you're satisfied. Brandon's lost everything. The foundation is suing. His reputation is destroyed. You've ruined your brother for what some stupid award. Don't ever contact this family again." I deleted it without listening twice. She still didn't understand. It was never about the award. It was about the right to exist without being diminished, the right to succeed without apology, the right to teach my daughter that truth matters more than keeping peace with people who demand you shrink yourself to fit their comfort. The next morning's Millbrook Gazette ran Jenna's article, "Local Banking Executive Exposes Charity Fraud, Family Corruption at Community Event." It was picked up by regional outlets, then national ones. Brandon's name became synonymous with nonprofit fraud. Evelyn retreated into her social circles, spinning stories about ungrateful daughters and family betrayal. But I didn't read those articles. I didn't need to. Instead, I focused on what mattered. The microloan program expanded to 12 more banks within 6 months. The federal innovation grant came through. Maya flourished, free from the toxic dynamics that had shaped my childhood. Dad called occasionally, tentative steps toward something that might someday resemble a relationship. And the Crystal Award. It caught sunlight every morning, throwing rainbows across our living room wall, beautiful, unbroken, and absolutely real. 3 weeks after community night, I received a package. Inside, a small plaque from the microloan recipients to Noelle Carter for teaching us that truth needs no permission. I hung it next to my diploma, next to Maya's artwork, next to all the things that actually mattered. The Whitaker family had drawn their battle lines, chosen their sides, believed their own lies until those lies became more real to them than truth. But I had chosen differently. I had chosen to stop carrying their shame as my burden, to stop making myself smaller so they could feel bigger, to stop accepting humiliation as the price of belonging, and in that choosing, I discovered something they never understood. Real family isn't about blood or obligation or maintaining comfortable lies. Real family stands with you when you speak truth, celebrates your victories without qualification, and never ever asks you to break yourself into smaller pieces to fit their idea of who you should be. Looking at Maya's sleeping form that final night, I whispered a promise. You will never have to earn the right to shine. The war was over. Not because I'd destroyed them, they'd done that themselves, but because I'd finally stopped fighting for their approval and started fighting for my own truth. And that truth, it was worth more than all the crystal awards in the world, but I kept the award anyway. After all, I'd earned it. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Please share in the comments below where you're listening from so we can connect. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about Noelle's journey. What would you have done in her situation? Your stories and perspectives mean everything to this community.